Derrick Ansley, defensive pass game coordinator for the D-backs. Ryan Smith in the secondary as well. The Cowboys are filling out the staff.
Yeah, which we talked about Ryan Smith last week a little bit because that one had been, shout out to whoever that CBS guy was. I don't know who he is, but he got both of these on separate, at separate times. So
Garrett Padell?
No, not him. It was not Garrett. That Choppy's sister knows Garrett, but no, it was not him. Ryan Smith was basically last Friday. We knew that one was kind of coming, and that one makes a lot of sense. There's connections there. He's from the same fraternity as Christian Parker. They've known each other for like a decade. They've done a bunch of coaching clinics together. This one, I don't know. Derrick Ansley, who they brought in to be the passing game coordinator, I don't know if they have any obvious connections. I asked a couple people, and the people I asked were like, I don't think so. I don't know if he knows him.
He was defensive coordinator for the Chargers, also been a college defensive coordinator at Go Vols, and worked for teams like Bama and the Raiders.
Yeah, and so he's...
he won a title with Bama.
He did. Now, the big thing with him is there's no obvious connection other than he's got a lot of experience with quarters coverage, like with doing stuff with Saban and different things like that. And so you're going to see a lot of that from Christian Parker. And so that's a connection. But in terms of them knowing each other, I don't know that there's an obvious one, which makes it seem like, at least, assuming there is no connection, Christian Parker's just out there hiring people that he thinks are, all right, it's not just a buddy system. Let me get this guy. Let me go get this guy, which was going to be a question for somebody who is as young as he is how are you going to fill out your coaching staff with folks if you haven't worked around the league enough?
The much-typed name that kind of got zeroed in on by insiders and Tolos, a lot of it because of this show, Jim Leonhard. Well, the Bills are bringing him in. So Joe Brady getting Jim Leonhard, according to Ian Rappaport.
They did something right. Good for them. Good for the Bills. That's their first non-F-up of the offseason, it feels like. So, I mean, did you see, we already had a day later, Joe Brady was already apologizing for that stuff he's said in that interview, where he talked about Keon Coleman and talked about getting hyped with the defense, and he dropped an F-bomb. He apologized for dropping an F-bomb already. So they're already a mess again in Buffalo, but Leonhard will be good there.
He said, I can't wait for Josh Allen to throw a freaking interception so I could celebrate with the defense.
It was
now.
super dorky. It was just like, okay, Joe. But he was he ended up apologizing for that. Said, I shouldn't have used that language. And so, but no, Jim Leonhard is in Buffalo. I really like that hire for Buffalo, as long as there's not too much continuity in Buffalo, as long as they're not just ignoring things that are wrong with their team.
Clint Kubiak, after the Super Bowl, is expected to become the Raiders' next head coach. Mike Macdonald now is expected to be searching for his third OC in 3 years. I was like, whoa, Mike Macdonald, it'll be year 3 for him?
That, to me, is a wonderful sign of how good of a coach he could potentially be, though. If you're whatever side of the ball you coach, if the other coach that you're bringing in there to hire, you're having to bring people in who are, getting hired away or doing whatever else, that's usually a good sign that you're picking your assistants.
It also makes me wonder, though, what do they do? If the head coach, if that's their side of the ball, I assume they have a lot of their hands on the product.
Right, which McDonald's
a
defensive
guy. Right. I know, but you said this is the third straight defensive guy.
So you would think
I'm wondering, the guy under him, it's the Eric Bieniemy thing. What did Eric Bieniemy really do in Kansas City?
No, but Clint Kubiak's the offensive coordinator.
Never mind. I'm on the defensive side for some reason. I don't know why I said that.
That famed defensive family, the Kubiaks.
Never mind. My bad.
I was like, what?
You were so Johnny on the spot with Gary Kubiak coaching Denver last week.
I know. The 49ers are bringing in Raheem Morris as their DC. So Shanahan and Raheem have now been together at 3 separate stops, and this will be number 4 after their time in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to defensive coordinator compare.
Yeah,
right?
We're going to get a ton of examples of this. And Raheem Morris obviously spending as much time as he has with McVay. McVay and Shanahan, they are so linked. The fact that I think we're getting close to now, we're probably at a third of the league as their coaching tree.
People were questioning Mike Tomlin, where's his coaching tree? Where are the guys that don't become head coaches? Sean McVay is just the opposite. Another one, that was in the gas vicinity of Sean McVay, as you like to say.
You got to be in the cloud as long as you're in that plume.
And this one is Mike LaFleur. The Cardinals are hiring Matt's brother. So Sean McVay just completed how many years as a head coach?
I was just looking at it, so I know the answer.
2017.
9 years. Doesn't it feel like way more?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he's still the third. Maybe not the third, but he was like going into the playoffs. He was like the second youngest coach in the playoffs this year.
Feels like to me longer. He just completed season 9. He's had 7 head coaches hired off of his staffs, including Zach Taylor and more on the way. So the NFL now has Harbaugh brothers and LaFleur brothers, along with Matt and Mike, to be head coaches. Sean McVay, 7 head coaches hired in 9 years.
And that still was the greatest assistant coaching staff in years. What they had in Washington. Where they had McDaniel was on that too, right? It was McDaniel, McVay, Shanahan, and
Slowick was like a quality control guy.
Insane.
Like, yeah, they were stacked. My favorite note about McVay and how young he was always when he got hired. Wade Phillips was named the interim head coach of the Saints on November 25th, 1985, and it was 60 days later that his then new head coach, Sean McVay, was born.
Wow. Vic Fangio is considering retirement. Is that what Adam Schefter was referring to last week when he went on with our guy John Kincaid in Filthy? Now, Jimmy Kempski and others have messed up the follow-up. They said the Eagles have considered Jim Schwartz and Jonathan Gannon to replace him. Jonathan Gannon has been hired. So I don't know what they're doing in Philadelphia with some of that coverage. But Vic Fangio causing Eagle fans to freak out over social media, thinking about stepping in. Why would they let Christian Parker get away if this was coming?
If he wasn't making up his mind, there was nothing they could have done about it. Because they can hire Christian Parker away because he didn't have the title. So if Fangio was just dragging his feet, they may have been like, we'd love to let Christian Parker, we'd love to get an answer here and hire Christian Parker to be our defensive coordinator. Vic's taking too long. And so if Fangio was just dragging his feet, which they said, I think I read from one of the Zach Berm, or one of the guys who's the Eagles writers. He had said that, I guess it was like a week and a half ago, they thought he had retired. Philadelphia had gotten the indication they thought that Fangio had said, "I'm retired," and that then it had become a little unclear. And so I don't know. It may just be an issue of Fangio didn't give them a proper timeline.
Bobby, your boy Cliff Kingsbury, along with Brian Callahan, are apparently involved in the Giants' offensive coordinator search. So John Harbaugh trying to find his offensive guy.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's so quickly. Like, it was last year, everybody had said, like, all right, Cliff, penance paid, like, you're an offensive, like, top guy again. And I know they had their problems this year. They were not very good.
And Jaden was out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Jaden's out, and then that was enough for everybody to just be like, we're just going to stay away from Cliff Kingsbury. There must have been, whatever stories came out of Arizona from his time, there must have been so bad that the league just does not trust him very much.
A stunner in Minnesota as their general manager got fired, apparently surprising a lot of people within the building.
Yeah, Kwesi, let's see, Adolfo Mensa.
Yep. Very good.
Kubiak.
One of the more surprising, was that?
Kubiak. Kubiak Adolfo Mensa.
One of the more surprising dismissals, I thought. Like, I was like, okay, this came out of nowhere. And then it was like, oh, there's got to be more to this than just Sam Darnold versus J.J. McCarthy. Because I assumed that Kevin O'Connell had a major decision-making hand in that choice, right?
Also, didn't Darnold get offered? I think Darnold got offered a contract and he just went, no thanks.
I don't remember.
But, I mean, otherwise, I mean, like, it tells me there's something more going on.
But do we
here.
agree that should have been Kevin O'Connell's call? This is where you get general manager versus head coach who's working with him every single day, the person who has to put together the contracts and the money. How do you divvy up that expertise?
Yeah, I mean, and it's like in the Athletic article.
To me, I go to Kevin O'Connell and I say, can we win a title with Sam? And his answer determines what I do in terms of drafting JJ or not. That's just me. Now,
because they drafted JJ 4.
Yeah, and then he tore his ACL in the preseason. That felt like during the preseason, like JJ was playing out of his mind in 24 in the preseason, and it felt like everybody was like, oh, he's going to jump right in day one and be the star.
Yeah.
So they weren't even planning on playing Darnold consistently, I don't think.
So, like, if that's the case, it's very revisionist. So it leads me to believe there's something more to this. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're going to make
he took paternity leave.
paternity leave, which
Head
is
on a swivel, Sean. Head on a swivel.
Well, I'm going to San Francisco. Yeah. There's a report that he took 2 weeks of paternity leave, and the Athletic said that those around the league were stunned.
It's like, all right, it's kind of gross, man. Like,
2 weeks. This was during training camp.
It was during training camp, and yes.
Worked remotely during that stretch.
Did all kinds of Zoom meetings, yada, yada, yada. And they found the list of the guys that were cut. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You've never heard of any of these guys other than, like, N'Keal Harry. Like, none of the...
And you've heard of N'Keal Harry because he's a massive bust.
Exactly. Right? Nobody's heard of any of these guys. So it's not like he made, they let this guy fall through the cracks, and this guy fall through the cracks, and this guy fall through the cracks. They all turned out to be great, but that didn't happen. It didn't happen. So it's not like he made bad cuts. And by the way, I think they won like 13 games the next year.
One of the team sources that texted The Athletic, this is my take on it, said, I'm not shocked that he was let go, which I guess results-wise, it doesn't stun me that a GM would be fired after
winning 43 games in 4 years?
Like, to me, it's like, all right, if you felt like he's got tension and he's not doing enough, they've always felt like whenever they've won 12 games where it feels like they overperformed, it's just O'Connell, like, bringing stuff out of them. So I'm not shocked he was let go. I'm just shocked at the time. And that's the thing to me. Why was this not done right after the season ended? Why did you wait till that seems like there was some blow up that occurred in the last month that got side. And for the reports coming out about the paternity leave is like, okay, now you're gross. That literally has nothing to do, because none of the claims are saying this is tied to his firing at all. It's just like, by the way, now that he's out, this was really dumb.
Yeah,
we hate it, even though publicly the Vikings supported him at the time for doing it.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Like they apparently they said they had no problem with it. But you win 43 games in 4 years. I'm not a math guy. That's like 11 wins a year. That's like 11 wins a year.
I had Tolos telling me that if you adopt, you can get 10 weeks of paternity leave. You had a Mississippi story, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Zach Wolchuk has taken, but not enough.
Mississippi's trying to change the laws, Mississippi of all places, to give you 2 months of paternity leave now. And so they're running that through legislation. The thing about this that's funny, though, is I found a couple different stories yesterday when I was trying to find details about stuff of the Vikings website, pushing stories about him, Adolfo Mensa, look at what a great father he is, and look at they did profile pieces on him through the team. And his opening press conference, he starts crying, talking about, my dad passed away a year ago. I still kept a voicemail of when I was with the Browns and we'd beaten the Cowboys, and he left me a voicemail that was like, son, I'm so proud of you, and I still play that all the time to fire myself up. And it's 9 months later, he had his first son, and you guys don't want him to be it just seemed really petty.